Well, hello.
Hello.
Hello, folks. This is Tony Stewart, also known as Blessed Brother.
Angie Stewart, also known as Blessed Sister.
And we have reached, I believe, the end of the success principles that Napoleon Hill laid out with these scrolls of his. And if you've not saw the other ones, go back. That's why we're numbering these, so that you can go back and listen to the other ones, watch it, get some insights that I believe will be a blessing to you as you move forth in your journey. And today's is all about something that two resources that we have to be great stewards of. It's time and money. And the question we're asking with this Facebook Live is,
which should you have more of, time or money?
Well, let me tell you, Napoleon Hill definitely has some things to say about this. In fact, Napoleon Hill talks about this again in one of his last scrolls. So could you please, Blessed Sister, also known as Angie Stewart, tell us about this next topic?
I would be glad to.
What is it called?
I will read to you the scroll called Budgeting Time and Money.
Budgeting Time and Money. Proceed.
Thank you. Effectiveness in human endeavor calls for the organized budgeting of time. For the average man, the 24 hours of each day should be divided as follows: 8 hours for sleep, 8 hours for work, and 8 hours for recreation and spare time. The successful person budgets time, income, and expenditures, living within his means. The failure squanders time and income with a contemptuous disregard for their value. Tell me how you use your spare time and how you spend your money, and I will tell you where and what you will become in 10 years from now.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I heard a concept this week that I want to share with you. The concept is budgeting. You might say, well, I know all about budgeting. What's the big deal there? And you've probably heard many, many people tell you before that you should have a budget. But most people, if they take the time to sit down and build a budget, will build what they call a pretty budget. Meaning that you sit down and you look at your finances and you say, this is where I intend to spend my money over the course of the next month, next year, next 3 months, whatever. I heard a financial planner who also happens to be my pastor say, create an ugly budget. And you might say, what's an ugly budget? An ugly budget is, instead of looking forward to what you'd like to spend, you look back on what you have spent over the last 3 months. And that'll give you a true clue of where your money is going. Don't look forward. Look to bring out that, that whatever you use to track your money, your checking statement or whatever, bring that out and look at where your money has gone over the last 3 months. And it will speak to you. It will speak to you. And you'll be able to find places that you can make some changes. Like you might say, that's all well and good. But let me tell you something. As good as that advice is, there's another place that you need to budget, and that's your time. Now, even in what Napoleon Hill shared, 8, 8, and 8, how realistic is that for most people nowadays? Most people are working 8 hours in a job. They might have a commute of 1 hour each way, so that cuts into that. Who's getting 8 hours of sleep? And most people are so stressed out about that financial thing that they're not getting that sleep thing, and there we go.
Mm-hmm. It's like a cycle.
It is a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It is so important to be a good steward of your time. In fact, being a good steward both of time and money is so important that one of the biggest rebukes in the Bible has to deal with someone who wasn't a good steward. Tell us that story.
Yes, and I'm sure that you know about it and read it probably many times, heard it preached about many times. And that was the parable that Jesus told about the man who took a trip. So before he went on a trip, he gave out a certain amount of coins or money to his servants. And so I'm going to kind of button this up quickly, but you'll get the gist of it. because I'm sure you've heard the story.
Yeah.
But he talked about the man before he took a trip. He gave one of his servants, let's just say 5,000 gold coins to put this together so it's easily understood. Then he gave another one 2,000 gold coins. And then a third one, he gave 1,000 gold coins.
Okay.
Each according to his ability to manage. So he said, you can manage this amount, you can manage this amount, you can manage this amount. So he entrusted it to those servants. And then he went on his trip. Okay. So then he came, and then he was gone for quite some time. But immediately after he left, the one with the 5,000 gold coins went to work. He got in there and traded and the money, and he doubled his investment. And the same happened also for the servant that had the 2,000 gold coins. But unfortunately, the servant that had the 1,000 gold coins, he dug a hole in the ground and buried his master's money. So time had passed. The master returned to settle his accounts. And the one he entrusted with the 5,000 gold coins came and brought the 10,000, saying, I've doubled your money. And he commended him, and he says, well done. And he proved to him his loyalty, because he proved to him his loyal and trustworthy servant. That's what he proved to him as being a trustworthy servant. And because of that, he rewarded him, and he invited him. He says, you will experience the delight of your master. Come celebrate with me. And then also for the other servant that had the 2,000 gold coins, he said, see, I've doubled your money as well that you've entrusted to me. And again, he commended this servant and replied, well done, and come and celebrate with me. And then the one who had been entrusted with the 1,000 gold coins came to his master and said, look, sir, I know that you are a hard man to please, and you're a shrewd and ruthless businessman who grows rich on the backs of others. I was afraid of you, so I went and I hid your money and buried it in the ground. But here it is. Take it. It's yours. This angered the master, and he says, you are an untrustworthy and lazy servant. If you knew I was a shrewd and ruthless businessman who always makes a profit, why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? Then I would have received it all back with interest when I returned. But because you were unfaithful, I will take the 1,000 gold coins and give them to the one who has 10,000. For the one who will be given more until he overflows with abundance, and the one with hardly anything, even what little he has, will be taken from him. Then the master said to the servant, now throw that good-for-nothing servant far away from me into the outer darkness, where there will be great misery and anguish. And this was from the Passion Translation. So hopefully you see the story as it unfolded into the people that did something with what they were giving. So they utilized the time and money that they had, and they made a profit. They actually did some good with it to bring about a double portion of what they were given. So they were considered good stewards. And then unfortunately, the one that had some didn't do anything with it, but yet buried it in the ground. And you heard what that servant was called. And this is what we don't want to be. So we want to make good use of our time and money. That's what this is all about today. Honey?
You know, I've been listening to that story, and I know it was a different translation and everything, but, you know, I missed what it's called. That story in the Bible is called the parable of the talents.
Mm-hmm.
And each of those servants got different talents.
Yes.
But you use gold coins instead.
Mm-hmm.
I missed to talk about the talents. You know why?
Why?
Because it's the only talent show in the Bible. Anyway. So anyway, great story. And I'll tell you, where we're going next, where we're going starting tomorrow, is we're going to be talking about how to do things to be more efficient with your time, how to do things to be more effective with your money. You see, because you can get to a point where you buy your time back. And tomorrow I'm going to share some statistics about what's going on. You know, a lot of people have this euphoria because, you know, the stock market is higher than it's been in years and so forth. But are people really feeling that in their budget? Are people really feeling that where it counts? You know, and I'm telling you, I submit to you, and I'll show you some numbers tomorrow, that it's not the case, because there is a disconnect that's happening between Wall Street and Main Street. And if you're not mindful of how to position yourself correctly, you know, one of the things that a gentleman by the name of Robert Kiyosaki, who I had the pleasure of studying with personally, said years ago is that the middle class is getting squoze. It's disappearing. And why is that? Because, well, you'll have to come back tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So between now and tomorrow, again, if you haven't done so already, I want you to set some goals. Write them goals down in terms of your money and how you're spending it. And I challenge you to do an ugly budget. Look back over the last 3 months and see where your money has gone. I believe it will speak to you. Also, now if you've done that, start looking at your time. Mm-hmm. Start putting together a schedule of how you want to spend your time. Because unlike money that you can get back, you can never get time back. So start being more intentional. Plan tomorrow. Jim Rohn used to always say, you never start a day until you finish it. And I used to think at first when I heard that, what's he talking about? But what he meant was, you never start your day until you've finished it on paper, until you've planned it before. And I've heard success story after success story of people who planned their next day down to the point where they even put out their clothes for the next day the night before. So we're going to start talking about planning. We're going to start talking about how to be more effective with your time and money, giving you some resources so that you can buy your time back and hit some specific financial goals that we'll talk about tomorrow. So I'm fired up about that. Go back, get your ugly budget, find out what your ugly budget is, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right. God bless. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.